I'm a clinical therapist, and I'd like to share what I believe is happening around the world. This is just my opinion only, but I think it might be helpful, so stay with me. It is a little long, but I swear it's going to be worth it. So what I'm going to talk about is the collective dark night of the soul, and why we can't stop it, and why we shouldn't even try. Have you noticed how things feel off lately? Like the world is unraveling at the seams. You're not imagining it. We're in the middle of something big, something profound. Collectively, we're going through what mystics and spiritual teachers call the dark night of the soul. And here's the thing about dark nights. Once they begin, you can't just hit the brakes. You can't bypass, suppress, or even control it. The energy is just too strong. The shift, it's already happened. And while it might feel overwhelming, even terrifying at times, this is exactly what needs to happen. Individually, we might avoid this process for a lifetime, but collectively, the vibration is already too high to ignore. The veil is lifting, the healing is happening, and we're being called to show up, not shut down. Let's break this down, because when you understand what's really happening, you stop resisting the process and start moving with it. So let's take a look at the dark night of the soul through a personal versus a collective perspective. On a personal level, a dark night of the soul hits when life as you know it begins to just fall apart. The job, the relationship, the identity you've clung on to years, gone. And I remember this because I went through a couple of dark night of the souls myself. And so everything that once felt solid suddenly feels shaky. The beliefs that guided you, irrelevant. The patterns that kept you safe, crumbling. But this breakdown isn't random. It's absolutely necessary, because the person you thought you were has to dissolve for your true self to emerge. Now zoom out to a global scale. That's exactly what's happening to humanity right now. We're watching long-standing systems, economic, social, political, break down in real time, and I'm here for it. You know what I'm saying? The collective ego, built on fear, separation, and scarcity, is being exposed. And just like on a personal journey, there's massive resistance to this unraveling. But here's the truth: you can't fight a dark night and win. It's like trying to push the ocean back with a broom. The energy behind this transformation is way bigger than any institution, ideology, or individual's desire to maintain the status quo. The vibration of the collective has shifted, and the momentum, it's unstoppable, y'all. Let's discuss the illusion of control and why we can't stop it. When the dark night begins, our instinct immediately is to just fight it. So we double down on what feels familiar, even if it's toxic. We numb with distractions, right? We intellectualize our emotions. We cling to old identities and external validation, anything to avoid the pain of what's being dismantled. When the soul is ready to evolve, resistance is futile. The energy behind the transformation is far greater than the ego's attempts to maintain the status quo. And guess what? The collective is no different, y'all. Right now, we see massive attempts to suppress this awakening, political polarization, media manipulation, misinformation campaigns, even some spiritual communities promoting bypassing techniques to avoid the discomfort of the shift. But here's the thing, y'all. The collective vibration has already shifted. Remember, I said that earlier. The planet's frequency is rising, and the collective consciousness is right there with it. This dark night of the soul is no longer optional. The momentum of this vibrational shift is too strong to reverse. We are in forward momentum, y'all. The healing is already in motion, and no amount of fear-based control can stop it. The only question is, will we surrender to the process or exhaust ourselves fighting the inevitable? Let's go a little bit deeper why the dark night of the soul is necessary. The dark night of the soul, whether it's personal or on a collective level, serves one sacred purpose: the dissolution of illusions. And the biggest illusion that we've been living under, the belief in separation. For centuries, humanity has operated under the false narrative that we are separate from nature, from each other, from the divine. This illusion has birthed entire systems built on inequality, exploitation, and most of all, disconnection. But now, y'all, these illusions are being exposed. The shadow is rising to the surface. The collective psyche is being forced to confront what it's long denied: the pain of disconnection, the trauma of oppression, the fear that's been running the show for generations. Think of it like trauma resurfacing during personal healing work. If you've ever been through deep deep emotional healing, you know that old wounds don't just disappear. They have to come to the surface to be seen, felt, and released. So what we're seeing in the world right now, social unrest, climate crises, economic instability, are the collective's buried wounds coming up for release. So the breakdown is not the enemy, y'all. It's the medicine. The systems built on fear, control, and domination must collapse so that more aligned, conscious, and interconnected ways of living can actually emerge. So what's our role in all this? So here's where it gets personal. Yes, the collective shift is happening with or without us, whether you join us or not. We finna fly, right? The energy has already tipped into awakening, but how we experience it, that depends on our own individual work. When we resist our own dark nights, we often live half asleep, going through the motions, but never fully coming alive. The same goes for the collective. The more individuals who avoid their inner healing, the more chaotic and prolonged this transition becomes. And look what fell on top of me. Little leaf. Thank you, nature. On the flip side, the more of us who lean into the discomfort, face our shadows, and raise our vibration, the smoother this collective passage will be. Okay, I got cut off, but and now the sprinklers are coming on. But anyway, this is why those who've already navigated their personal dark nights often feel called to step forward right now. If you've already been through the fire, you're being asked to hold the light for others, to embody trust, compassion, and resilience in the midst of all this chaos. And no, this doesn't mean spiritually bypassing the pain or pretending everything's fine, because it's not, okay? It means holding the knowing that this is absolutely necessary and a sacred process, because it is. This is why some people might feel a bit at peace because they've done a lot of their inner work already. Doesn't mean that they're like fully healed, but when you go through the depths of your own darkness and you come up from it, you already know like this is part of the process. So a lot of people that I know, and even myself, are kind of at peace with a lot of the chaos. We're standing grounded in all of this because this is what needs to happen to transform. You can't just wake up, transform. You need challenges so that you can actually know and become who you're supposed to become in this lifetime. So how can we do this together? Because inevitably, we're all in this together. No one is exempt. Even if you think that like the rich are better off and all these other things, because at the end of the day, the goal of all this is love, connection. And so if people are doing things that are separating themselves from each other, or doing things in service to self versus in service to others, then that's their own journey, because that is not what we're here to do. So if they're going against that, they need to sort of reconcile that within themselves. I always say like we are our own salvation. So they need to figure that out. So don't concern yourself too much with what other people are doing and how they're doing it, right? Even if they feel like they're in a better position, trust that the soul does not operate that way. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to what I'm trying to say here. All right, so how do we navigate this together? Even though the collective dark night is inevitable, your personal response to it matters. In fact, it's absolutely crucial. The more individuals who consciously engage with their inner work, the smoother the collective process becomes. So how do we do that? Right? Well, the first thing is acknowledge the breakdown without panic. Like even when you're going through your own personal situations and challenges, acknowledge that that's what's going on, right? The more that you ignore the thing, the bigger it gets, the deeper it seeps into your subconscious and makes things worse or harder, because the discomfort that you're feeling is all part of the process. Instead of labeling it as wrong or bad, name it. This is the dark night of the soul. When we stop resisting the experience, we create space for the transformation to unfold with less turbulence. The next time you feel overwhelmed by world events or personal challenges, please limit your news intake, right? That'll help. So try this next time. Place a hand on your heart and just say, this is part of the process. I am safe. We are transforming. And then number 2, turn inward, not outside of yourself, right? Tend to your own frequency. I always tell my clients, like, you got to double down on the spiritual armor, the mental and emotional armor, because, and not armor as in protection, but like as in strength and resilience, because those are the things that you're going to need to get through these quote unquote dark times. Because the truth is, the outer world mirrors the collective inner world. That means your energy matters more than ever. So when you cultivate peace within yourself, you contribute that vibration to the whole. So we all feel it. Even if it feels like you're not doing anything, those micro moments when you are more compassionate, when you're more loving, when you're spending time to just gather yourself, it really creates a ripple out into the world. My clients don't believe me when I say the little things do matter, but do your best. Try to find 5 to 10 minutes each day, ground grounding yourself, sitting quietly, breathing deeply, and just recentering yourself. Imagine the roots connecting you to the earth so you can feel grounded in this sort of shaky time that we're in, and visualize the collective energy calming and aligning. When I sit in meditation, I kind of like to send as much love as I can and just bright energy to everybody, because we all need as much support, energetic support, as we can, with pure loving intentions, of course. And that really does help. I know you don't think it does, but it does. And lastly, try to stay connected with the community. When I was going through my dark night of the soul, I was in a lot of different groups that really helped hold space for me and reaffirm me in the things that I was experiencing and going through. And that's what I needed at the time. Because honestly, dark nights can actually feel pretty isolating, but we're not meant to go through a lot of this alone. So find others who are consciously navigating the shift, because together we hold space for the collective birth of a new way of being. So we do this like we're all interconnected. Every one of us impact each other, whether we believe it or not. So try to find a like-minded friend or somebody. Just share what you're experiencing. Talk about your feelings. Talk about the experiences. And it's not to commiserate, right? Because we can do that. We can commiserate. We could trauma bond, but it's more to just kind of like express, release, and then raise our frequencies. Because these kinds of connections remind us that, again, we're all in this together. No one is exempt from what's happening right now. And so this momentum, this awakening, it's not going to stop. And so the dark night of the soul isn't a punishment, it's an initiation. And I always call challenges as initiations onto yourself, your real self, so you can discover your true self. And yes, it feels chaotic. Yes, it's hard to trust the process when everything is being stripped away from you. But this is exactly how transformation works, personally and collectively. Like, I had to lose so much to get to where I am now, and I don't regret a damn thing, because the old world built on fear and control can't survive where we're going. And that's not just spiritual theory, it's vibrational truth. Like, for you to get to the next level in your life, whatever that is, and I'm not using kind of like matrix, successful, ambition, that kind of language, but for you to get to the next stage, you can't bring whatever got you to that stage to the next stage. You got to obtain new skill sets. Okay, a new mindset, a new heart space, that sort of thing. Or remembering, right? It's all about remembering the things that we lost. So when the resistance rises, remember the collective awakening, again, is already happening. You can't stop it. The frequency has already shifted. The question isn't if we'll get through this, because I believe that we will get through this. We didn't come here to not get through something like this. I might not see it in my lifetime, but that's the whole point of all this. But the question is, who will you become on the other side of all of this? Because we can get wrapped into the dark really quickly and we won't recognize ourselves on the other side. So it's important to keep in mind, through all this chaos, who do you want to become on the other side? Because the new world won't be built by the ones who cling to the past. It will be created by those who have the courage to soften into the transformation. The ones that trust the process and rise on the other side lighter, freer, and more connected than ever before. And that, my beautiful people, that's where we're headed. And I'm excited. It is such a beautiful time to be alive. And I'm sitting with both sadness and elation. I'm sitting with both grief, loss, and remembrance, and I'm realizing, again, we are all in this together, and I'm so happy that I'm here with y'all in this timeline now. Okay, let me know if this resonated with you at all. Just drop a comment. Let me know if you're feeling the same way or thought about the same things. All right, I'm out of here.